There's a cliche strand of advice out there which talks about thinking before you speak, not jutting out brainstorms, not being impulsive, not just speaking on a whim, not saying what you feel in the moment, not speaking out of impulse, not saying something that could be hurtful or offensive or wrong to say. And on the side of the law, we can look at this being a necessary piece of advice when we're talking about a square between Mercury and Mars occurring on October 6th. So Mercury will square Mars. Mercury is in Libra, Mars is in Cancer. So we can think about this being a very good piece of advice so that we can pause and reflect before we respond. We're responding, we're not reacting. Before I get into the astrology, I have some very exciting news. Today I am using a brand new Oracle deck, which I just got today. I just looked through the cards and read the introduction of it before this video. And the Oracle deck is by Rebecca Campbell, who is an Oracle deck creator. She has many Oracle decks, my favorite of which is the Healing Waters Oracle and the Ancient Stones Oracle. She also has books, Letters from a Starseed and Light is the New Black. And so her very, very first deck is called Work Your Light Oracle. And this is about working with your soul, developing your intuition, um, and living in a conscious way. And I do want to show you what is inside here. You are the Oracle. It's not what the cards do for you, but what you do with the cards. You are the oracle. The cards are reflecting back to you what your soul is trying to tell you and to show you by signs and omens of the images that the cards give. Um, so I think that that's a nice little detail. And all of her cards have a continual triangle symbol. It has the keyword of the card and it has the uh some keywords down at the bottom. So all of her decks are set up this way. And that's what makes them unique. And I do want to show you just some of the cards and how they look because the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. I do have to show you just some of the cards. I'm not going to show you all of them because there's 44, but I just want you to, hopefully you can see it. Hopefully the light's not glaring away. So I'm showing you some of these cards because I am going to be using this deck for a while. And I'm very, very excited about it. So I hope that you can see some of the cards here. And that is the last card that I'm going to be showing you. So I just want you to get a feel for that. So I'll talk about the Oracle card, which I pulled later. But let's first of all talk about what this particular aspect is all about. Let's talk about Mercury and Mars in a square. Squares are aspects that require the two planets involved to get very, very serious about what is the end result of what I'm fighting for? What is the reason why I'm fighting for? What am I achieving through this fight? What is the real purpose of fighting? And is this worth fighting about? Because obviously Mercury and Mars are fighting in the sky about something. Mercury wants to be zippity-doo-dah and communication-oriented, and Mars is very action-oriented. They're not getting along. Squares are aspects where the two planets involved do not get along. So this aspect can present rush thinking. That's what this can present. We're thinking very, very quickly. We're not slowing down. We're not allowing our minds to slow down and communicate our words with grace and calm and deliberation. This can also make us very short-tempered, very likely to react to speak on a whim out of impulse when someone is doing something that affects us emotionally. We will probably be impulsive in our communication and in our speech. This presents aggression as coming to the fore with this. This is not a time to jump to conclusions. This is a time to weigh out all the evidence prior to that. Look at all sides of an issue. Consider all sides of an issue before you just jump to the end result of what you assume that it is B. Because when you assume something, you make a beep out of me. So we need to just be mindful that we are viewing all the information before reaching a conclusion. There can be relationship difficulties at this time that can surface. It's critical, as I said at the beginning of this video, to think before you speak. That is what this Mars-Mercury square invites us to consider. It's thinking before we are speaking, thinking before we're reacting. This is not good for making important decisions or entering negotiations. This is also not good for legal matters. This is about finding constructive ways to channel your all over the place and jumpy energy. If you're feeling distracted by a lot of things, not being able to focus and put your nose to the grindstone with whatever you need to work on, or you're all over the place, or you can't slow down and commit to any one thing, you want stimulation, you want movement, you want to do what you want to do. It's finding ways to channel this energy, like physical exercise, boxing, running, walking, clearing your mind, and allowing yourself to do what you feel you want to do in the impulse moment so that you can then focus on what you need to do later. That's what the advantage of doing what you enjoy prior to doing what you have to do. And I'm saying do what you enjoy first of all until you feel like you've had enough, then focus on what you need to do, which is the more important thing. And it is this thing which requires you to be in a particular mindset to be able to do it. And in order for you to be in that mindset, you have to have that as your focus and your area of interest at that current time. So this is also not good for taking risks, no matter how strongly you feel about doing it, because it is a square. There can be some controlled and conservative activities that can be taking place here. This is also good for physical exercise of any kind. Not judging people based out of impulse, not, being overly judgmental or critical of people in your life. This is a time to think things through. You may also want to avoid accidents because you're more accident prone at this time. And this in general is not a good time to aggressively push your viewpoints onto others and to project onto others how they should go about their life, what they should be doing. I mentioned it in a previous video that if the person um, only give advice if the person is open to receive the advice. Don't just spew out in a preachy way, that is. It's different depending upon who is involved in the delivery of the message. Someone can give uninvited and unannounced advice in a compassionate and understanding way, and other people come off as preachy in a way that makes people defensive. So if you feel defensive, well, then they were in the wrong. They should not have given that advice to you. But if you do not feel offensive, then it was the right time for you to receive that advice, whether you've asked for it or not. So there are some exceptions to this, but, overall, I would just speak only when that person wants you to speak to whatever they are getting at in general. And so there is a need thing to get, there's a need thing to get things right, to be right, to win battles and not keep the peace. This is not about negotiations. This is not about diplomacy. This is not about infatuations. This is about being right on, being truthful, getting to the truth. That's what this is about. We're also going to see that the moon is going to oppose Uranus. So this is an aspect which is a calling for us to be independent, to use our independence for the highest level. And we can have emotional detachments. We can feel emotionally cut off or detached from the people in our own individual lives. Where this can be a good thing because we need to gain perspective. We need to be cut off to some extent. And that's what this can provide for us, is being emotionally distant in healthy ways, of course. It depends upon how you use this energy, either being completely cut off and like an ice heart, or ice is in the place of your heart, or if you are drawing boundaries and having a high sense of self-respect, it's a very, very different matter entirely. So you may feel also nervous, anxious, or easily distracted. These three emotions can come up. There is a need to change and stimulation. This just adds to the Mercury square Mars. There's a need for change and stimulation. So it's important to not overreact to situations that come to you. Again, it's a reminder to think before you act, think before you speak. You can find that you have a lot of flexibility and adaptability at this time. So these two qualities are really, really important to have. If your muscles in these qualities are very weak and flabby, and you need to strengthen your muscles when it comes to being flexible and adaptable, then that is critical for you at this time to be open to the changes that the universe and God or goddess or Fred, or the divine or source energy, whatever you call it, that it gives to you. So you may discover something new that could trigger an emotional response. That's another side of this. We're feeling something, you notice something, and then it triggers a memory or a feeling, or whatever it may be. And so your reactions in relationships may be impractical and ungrounded. So it's important to make your actions practical and grounded. You may misread signs and cues from your intuition. Your intuition may not be clear. It may be telling you to go in a direction that will lead you astray. So you really want to balance out your intuition with your logical mind this time. You may not be open to allowing things to unfold, but that is exactly what this aspect is asking you to do, is to just sit back and let the universe do its thing. Trust the universe. Allow things to unfold as they unfold. That's what we need to do. We need to come to a place of peace. We need to come to a place of surrender at this time. We also need to slow down our impulses as best we can, not to react, not to be impulsive. Again, yet another reminder here. The moon will trine Neptune. So this is, this makes it easier for us to think before we speak because it's a more feminine, reflective energy. That's what Neptune is. So in relationships, there can be a soulmate feeling to relationships. You may feel empathetic toward yourself and others, self-love, compassion, all these things are wonderful to do at this time. Any creative or artistic work can thrive under this influence. If you need to do that, or if you want to do that, now's the wonderful time to do that. Your intuition may be very powerful, very palpable, very strong, very noticeable. And so you can really look to your intuition for answers at this time. And so feeling caring and sympathetic are also two positive parts of this, is you're feeling more open, loving, caring, sympathetic, understanding. That's good. And another thing that's good about this is of being a selfless service of animal charities, human charities, snake charities, whatever the charity is, whatever the service is, if it's selfless, it's wonderful to do it this time. You may feel more compassionate to those in your environment. Your intuition is heightened. You may experience predictive dreams, as also in the case maybe. And so this is about receiving love and affection from others. Just being open in this type of way to the love and affection that can come to you from other people, and from the universe at large. So receiving the love and affection that can come to you at this time is critical. The moon is going to sextile Pluto also. So the moon is at the end of Scorpio, Pluto is at the end of Capricorn. These two signs are power signs. They're about, at the low level, they could be power mongers, but at the high level, they can be very committed people, very business-like people, can have a goal and reach it to completion like no other. So when the moon sextiles Pluto, we may know what we feel about people and vice versa, what they feel about us. This is good for any kind of dreaming, meditation, or contemplation. This is good for keeping a dream journal by your bed and journaling when you wake up in the morning before you forget your dreams. This is good for anything involving self-improvement. This is good for meeting someone who has a profound influence on your life and in your life, who can profoundly affect and influence your life and transform you in positive ways. You may have greater control over your subconscious and your environment at this time. This is good for transforming reality also. Transforming your reality. This is also good for eliminating bad, unhealthy habits that you know that you need to get rid of. This is good for understanding complex and occult subjects such as astrology or the tarot. And so you may have an overall positive outlook on your life. You feel optimistically about something, you feel good about the state of your life. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can go through your dark emotions to see the rainbow on the other side of them. You know that things will fall in place at the right divine time. So this is about balancing intellectual connections with emotional depth, balancing your intellect and your emotional realm. This is also good for transforming your environment, in any way, big and small. This is also good for working with younger people and caring about their future, caring for them, supporting them. Setting your intentions is also something positive you can do this time. Set your intentions, be very assertive and clear about your intentions, and then release them to the universe and be open to whatever the universe gives you. So thought can be directed at this time to achieve your goals. Whatever goal that you have, this is time to commit to it. This is time to see it through to completion. Be very willful in your approach to getting that goal. And you overall have a confidence, a self-confidence, a self-empowerment when it comes to following your unique path. So, on to the very exciting part of this video. I did pull a card for October 6th. I asked the question, what does the collective need to know on October 6th? And the card that I got is the card um, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. And this oracle deck is very light. The images are very light and feminine. And there are Christian elements to this deck. So therefore it may be a little bit controversial. It creates mixed views online, but anyway, it is a beautiful card. So the key words on this card are seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. So let me just show you. This is what the back of the cards look like. It has roses on the back of the cards, as you can see. So we have this card. So I am going to read to you just a section of it from the book, which talks about Who is the grandmother of Jesus anyway? I don't know who that is. It may be just any random thing or person. So who is this person? What is this person's purpose? Which we get into the message of the card. So this deck is sort of unique because it's organized into suits. It's not organized from page to page. So let me just find this card for you. And okay, page number 88. This is what it is, page 88. So I'm going to read to you just a section of it. So Anna, grandmother of Jesus, was an ancient mystic who dedicated her life to laying the foundations for Christ consciousness to be woven through all of life. She is not widely known, but without her, Christ consciousness would not be rising as it is today. Yana represents the quiet dedication that is sometimes required to live a life of service. She represents the generations that came before that devoted their lives to dreaming a new world into being, while knowing that they would not see the glorious end result. She represents the dutiful soldier, the unconditional mother, and the mystic who can see the thread that is woven through all of life. So now is the time to celebrate the beauty all around your life. So what I got intuitively from just looking at this card, and maybe you can just stare at it, pause the video, and look at the card a little bit to see what you intuitively pick up when you look at this image. What I picked up is that this is the time to celebrate and recognize the beauty in your life. Recognize all that is beautiful, all that is abundant, all that is glorious and glamorous in your life, all that is beautiful in the present moment. If you take a walk, notice the beautiful orange flowers that you see. Notice the birds flying in the sky. Notice the beautiful sunshine and its warmth coming through. Notice how cute the dog is in that yard. Look around you and look at the good things around you. And so celebrate this beauty that you can find and be open to the beauty that you can find. Know that you are a powerful co-creator with spirit. This is what this invites you to consider. This is about opening yourself wide enough to give to the collective and people in your personal life. So this is about service. It's about how can I serve the people in my own life? What difference can I make? What impact can I make to those individuals? So this card is all about knowing that we're all part of a grand symphony of life, and we all have our different instruments, and all of our instruments are unique, but together they form the symphony of life. And no one's part, no one's role in the play of life, no one's instrument is any less or more important than anyone else's. We're all on an equal playing field. We're all equally valid. We're all equally important when it comes to our individual parts in our own life. Um, we all have equal value that is different, that is adding to the other person's value, but it's not above or below anybody else's. The other thing here is to surrender all that we have done, all the work that we have done up to this point. Now is the time to surrender it to the divine. So now I want to move on to October 7th. So what is going on? The very, very first thing going on is that we have the moon in a trine with the north node of destiny. So the north node is in Aries. The moon is in Sagittarius at this point. It moves into the sign. And when the moon is in Sagittarius, we need to do whatever we can to expand our horizons. That's what Sagittarius asks. Because we will feel emotionally safe and secure if we are learning new things, reading new books, traveling to new places, expanding our knowledge of the world, being one with life, and going to all ramparts of life. That's what Sagittarius is about. It's a globetrotter energy. So the moon in the north node's in Aries, we're asked to develop our individual selves and be true to ourselves, be our authentic selves. So I have a whole video about the North Node in Aries and South Node in Libra. Maybe I will link it in the description for you to watch, if I remember. So, relationships, this is about relationships for the long term, for the long haul. These relationships will help you grow for the long term. So choose to be in right relationship with the people that will help you and that will be sustainable for the long term. This is also talking about trusting your intuition, listening to your inner voice, listening to your inner guide within you, and listening to the suggestions and guidance that it gives you, and follow it. You may have flashes of awareness of past, present, and future potentials. This is a time to reflect on your emotional well-being. This is good for any healing work on a deep level, emotional healings, oolong, spiritual healing. This is good for that. Maybe herbal healing, maybe, possibly. This is talking about releasing baggage from past experiences. If there's any burden that you've been holding on to from the past, because the South Node is your karma, the South Node is what you carry into this life from your previous incarnations. It is about releasing that baggage and moving towards your destiny, which is your North Node, where you're meant to head toward. The South Node is where we are meant to travel no more. This is also about revisiting family issues, coming face to face with those issues. Maybe you're deepening your relationships with your mother or maternal figure in your life. This is about having awareness of your needs and the needs of others at the same time. You may have enhanced emotional and psychic sensitivity at this time. This is also good for tapping into your imagination, being imaginative, being creative. At the high level, this can be a heightened sense of sensitivity, but at the low level, what this can create is suspicion on, on the low level. We're more suspicious. We're more willing to dig into things and finding the true answers to things and that kind of thing. So, so investigating, but on the shadows. That's what suspicion is. Um, So we need to have a right relationship with our inner voice, our inner guidance. Our minds can become more stable at this time. This is good for any creative expression also, whatever that might be. This is good for emotional depth and imagination. Um, and so are you losing yourself to the world? Are you following along with the world even though it's not true for you? Are you losing yourself to trends? Are you doing things based off of peer pressure? Um, are you getting in the crowd and just blindly following the crowd or blindly following the people that tell you this is where you should go, this is what you should do? Now's the time to be your individual self and march to the beat of your own path. And so this is about checking in with yourself. Um, does your need for support, whatever that need may be, come from an authentic place? Or does this come from my insecurities, my fears, my doubts, my ego, my fearful, small-minded ego? So evaluate where, what is the reasoning or where does the need for help reside in your body? So knowing where it is, and if it's from your intuition and your soul, then go in that direction. If it's from your ego, go counter that direction. So it is all relative. Someone could color your life path significantly, affecting your emotional health in an overall big way. That's a super important point here. This is about receiving support and also giving support, giving and receiving support to other people. This is about nurturing yourself in a way that also boosts the growth for the collective and the good of all. Nurturing and taking care of yourself and moving on your own path where it's compassionate prosperity, where it is for the good of the other people in your lives. The moon is going to also come into a square with Saturn and Pisces. So when the moon is square Saturn, where our feelings become more restricted, it may become more difficult to connect with others in meaningful ways. We're not really feeling our feelings at this time. We may feel guilt, sadness, and depression in our relationships. Like our relationships is at a low point, at a low status. We need to take responsibility for our emotional reactions if we emotionally react at this time, and also taking responsibility for our emotions in general. So we need to also, we may feel distant emotionally from those people around us. We may feel cut off from them in some way or another. This is about entertaining and socializing, which takes more work to entertain and socialize, to connect with people and to socialize, because your mood might be lower and it might be more of a chore at this time. Any kind of task which requires structured discipline is critical to do at this time because Saturn is the lord of discipline and hard work. And so your emotions may be met with restriction at this time. You may not be able to fully feel or express your emotions the way that you authentically want to. You may feel such emotions as loneliness and self-doubt. Emotional expression is met with boundaries also. That can be another aspect of this. Is those boundaries to your emotional expression that you may find. And so there can be increased awareness of responsibilities that carries with it a weight. You're aware of your responsibilities, you're aware of your duties, but this burden carries a weight that you need to take off your shoulder. And now is the time to be as patient and as resilient as you possibly can. So I did pull an oracle card for this particular day also, and the card that I got is the card Inner Temple. The key words on this card are devotion, tunes the portal of your heart. So this is about tuning into your heart. This is what this is about, tuning into your heart. Know that you are safe, well kept, and secure, knowing that people will provide and care for you and nurture you the way that you are wanting to be nurtured. And know that you are powerful and you are bright. You have people who will aid and support you. Now is the time to focus on what are you devoted to? Who are you devoted to? For instance, I'm devoted to trying to finish War and Peace. I am devoted to my musical studies. I am devoted to doing these videos every 2 to 3 days. There's a bunch of things I'm devoted to. I'm devoted to a practice of journaling with oracle cards and getting back into that every day. So there's multiple things that you may be devoted to. And the more the merrier. It's okay to have multiple things. Knowing that what are you committed to? What is your heart set on? What do you not half in, half off? But what are you all in on? Now is the time to really put your heart and soul into a particular area and particular endeavor in your life that you want to be devoted to. It's also a good idea to have a spiritual practice at this time. Having a spiritual practice which you do daily, meditation, breath work, yoga, journaling, whatever it may be, now's the time to have a spiritual practice. That's what this card is inviting all of us to do and consider. If you have questions, tune into your heart for answers. What does your spirit say? What does your heart say? Because your heart is where all of the answers reside. Your heart chakra. So before asking other people, before researching it or whatever, tune into your heart to find the answers and really mean what your decisions and what your actions are. This is also a good time to spend time in contemplation and reflection and replenishment. And so do what you feel devoted to as a soul living a temporary human experience, because we are souls first, humans second. We are humans being, not human beings, and not human doings either. So there's a difference between these two things. And so we need to put our heart and soul into certain endeavors in our lives as a soul being. So that's the invitation for October 7th. Thank you for tuning in. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I really hope that you like and enjoy the Oracle deck that I used. You can go on Amazon and purchase it. I'm very, very excited about this new deck. The artwork is stunning and it's feminine, as I said before. If you want to, then by all means go purchase it. And I hope that you like the messages from the cards and also what the astrology is indicating during these 2 days. I hope you found this reliable and insightful. And if you did, please click the like button. Please subscribe and share this video with someone who would also enjoy this video also. Have a great couple of days. I'll see you in the next video.